Welcome to Retiring Well this week. We are so happy you would join us, and you're going to want to stay with us all the way to the very end. Then we have 4 amazing topics this week that were prepared just for you. The first, it's political season. So let's talk about a new bill that was introduced here in 2024 that has 2 parts. One of them, for you retirees or people planning to take Social Security, is going to be really interesting to tune into. Social Security 101. We're all hopeful to have Social Security around, and we retire. What is that source of income going to look like, and what are some of the ins and outs of that out there? Then, are you rich? A question that's kind of an interesting take on that. You might be surprised what some of the considerations are when thinking of that. And finally, to wrap up the show, we're going to be talking about tax planning tips for retirees. Again, we all want to pay our fair share, but we don't want to pay too much, right? And so, again, no matter whether you're pre-retired or retirement, what are some tips that you can use every year to potentially look at taxes now? But more importantly, what are they going to be in the future? All of this and so much more coming at you right now here on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
You know, what a great way to start off the show. Let's talk about politics. Well, let's talk about a specific thing that's probably on a lot of your minds, is Social Security. And not only just Social Security, the taxation of it, but also the solvency of it. How long is it going to be around? We continue to hear these concerns, and right on our Social Security statement now, it talks about the fact that Social Security is not going to be here forever if we don't make any changes. One representative is making a change, or making a bill out there that has a change. And now this isn't the first time something like this has been floated as a bill, but this is a very recent time. So on January 25th of 2024, Angie Craig from Minnesota has introduced the bill, You Earn It, You Keep It, is what she's calling it. And effectively, it's eliminating Social Security taxation. Federal income tax on your Social Security. Now it's 2 parts. Now that's the one that kind of, I think, gets us all to listen. Now if you already don't know this, when you're collecting Social Security, some of you may not pay tax on it and some of you may. It's dependent upon the other incomes that you have, determines how much of your Social Security is taxable. All the way up to 85% of your Social Security can be considered taxable income for your federal tax purposes. So many folks, when they get into retirement, kind of find this shocking if they already haven't been paying attention to this or hearing advice from maybe their accountant or financial advisor when it comes to how this is going to be treated. It doesn't default when you sign up to Social Security. It doesn't default to having taxes withheld. So sometimes that first year is a little bit of a surprise for individuals when they get their taxes done, and if they fall into that group that has to pay taxes, they might have to owe a little bit because they haven't had enough withholdings. So what this bill is proposing is that it just flat eliminates that tax, a federal tax on that Social Security. So rather interesting. Many retirees probably would be in favor of that, right? About 40%, they say, of retirees that are collecting Social Security benefits are paying some form of federal income tax on those benefits. That means 60% are not, right? So that means that about 60% of people are not earning enough other income to trigger that Social Security tax. So again, different levels depending upon if you're married, filing singly, and the other forms of your income. So contact a tax professional for your specific situation when it regards that. The second part to this bill is going to alter how Social Security tax is levied on those working individuals. So as it is right now, you pay Social Security tax and you split that with your employer, basically, from the first dollar you earn all the way up to about $168,000 annually for each individual. After that, you don't have to pay that tax any further, or earning as much on up as you want. What this bill, kind of part 2 of it, would be is they're almost creating like a donut hole for this taxation. So that first tax, just like you do now, you would pay from your first dollar up to about $168,000 annually, and then there would not be any tax levied from about $168,000 to $250,000 annually, and then it would start again. So, kind of taxing the higher end wage earners out there. So, obviously for some folks that are those higher wage earners out there, they're not going to appreciate that as much. But for many individuals that are earning the 168 or less, it really isn't going to affect that much. You're still going to have those Social Security taxation. So they're estimating that this effectively, though, with these couple changes here, primarily the change of adding that Social Security tax back on, because let's face it, reducing or taking away tax isn't really going to benefit the long-term nature of Social Security. But the Office of Actuaries through Social Security is estimating that this change would add about 20 years of life to Social Security. So that would be pretty significant, right? When they're talking about the concerns of this coming up here within the next 10 years of having some solvency issues, pushing out another 10 years. So there'll be some other changes along the way. But as this is a political year, this bill faces some challenge. But listen in, see where this goes. It's going to be interesting to learn. It's just been introduced back early January. But listen in, see where this goes. It's going to play an important role, and it's probably very important to you out there of what this looks like. So again, as your maybe favorite political candidate or the competitor to them is talking about some of their things, see if they bring this up and talk about these concerns that Social Security has, so you can plan to retire well.
Every business says they're better, but the ones that earn and display the BBB seal back it up. It instantly identifies businesses that are committed to operating with integrity, honoring promises, and telling the truth. Makes you wonder why every business doesn't have it. So look for it, because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Are you retirement ready? If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. Virgil Hughes, financial advisor at Centennial Wealth Advisory, will present topics such as how to prepare for 20 to 30 years of unemployment, how to choose from over 9,000 options on how to receive Social Security benefits. Your IRA distributions could cause your Social Security benefits to be taxed. What potential tax reduction strategies can you implement? Visit sen-wealth.com or call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 25th at the Sunshine Barn Event Center in Gaylord, or Wednesday, June 26th at the Denos Museum in Traverse City. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to sen-wealth.com or call 888-608-5825.
There's a ton of information out there on Social Security, and oftentimes it makes it very hard to navigate. So let's go back to the basics and do a little Social Security 101 and talk about 12 things that you need to know about Social Security. So first up is make sure that you find your full retirement age. Okay, this is different for everybody, but basically it's from age 66 and above. Okay, so if you were born between the years of 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is 66 years old. Okay, but if you were born after that, it gradually increases up until age 67 if you were born in 1960 and later. Okay, so make sure you find that full retirement age. Number two, how do you become eligible for Social Security benefits? Well, you gotta work, right? And you gotta earn 40 credits to be eligible for Social Security. So you can earn up to 4 credits per year. So that means you gotta work for 10 years to be eligible for Social Security. Well, how do they calculate your benefit? That's number 3. Well, they're gonna look at your highest 35 years of earnings. Okay, so the higher those earnings are, the higher the benefit is going to be, but it is capped. Okay, so the most that you can make at full retirement age in 2024 is $3,882 per month. Now, number 4, there's an annual cost of living adjustment for Social Security. So that's often referred to as COLA, and basically they increase your payment just by a little bit to account for inflation every year. This year for 2024, that cost of living adjustment was 3.2%. Number 5, your monthly Social Security benefits increase the longer you delay them. Now, I'm probably sure you've heard that before, right? But it's very important to make sure you're aware of that, because if you take Social Security benefits right at age 62, they're drastically reduced. They're reduced by about 30% from what you would have got if you waited until your full retirement age. Number 6, there's a Social Security spousal benefit. Okay, this is very important if, say, you have a stay-at-home spouse in your family. Okay, maybe that person didn't earn a lot of income and their benefit on their own isn't as high as it could be. Okay, well, you can claim up to 50% of that worker's benefit and increase that stay-at-home benefit for your spouse there. So that's a great thing that you want to be made aware of. Number 7, other pensions might reduce your Social Security benefit. So this really only applies to, in some special circumstances, public education employees and federal government employees. So if you are employed by, those two there, you want to make sure that, hey, does that pension that I get offset my Social Security benefits? Number 8, there are Social Security survivor benefits for spouses. So, if your spouse passes away, you can claim that survivor benefit starting at age 60, okay? Number 9, you can claim Social Security benefits earned by your ex-spouse, okay? There is a caveat to that. You have to have been married for at least 10 years. And you got to be at least age 62 before you claim them. And then number 10, you can undo your Social Security benefit claim if you want to, but you got to make sure that it's done within the first 12 months of your claim, okay? So you can't just say, okay, 2 years go by and say, okay, I want to undo it now. It's got to be in that first year that you claim those benefits. And then number 11, you may have to pay tax on your Social Security benefits, but it's only based on where your income falls. Okay, so if your income as a single filer is under $25,000 or under $32,000 for a married filer, then none of your Social Security is going to be taxable. However, if your income is above those different thresholds, then a portion of your Social Security could be taxable. And actually, if it's above $44,000 for a married couple, then up to 85% of your Social Security could be taxable at that point. So pay attention to how your Social Security is taxed. And then finally, number 12, beware of the Social Security earning test. Okay, so this is a very common question that I get asked is, well, if I'm under the full retirement age and I still want to do some part-time work, how much can I actually earn without it affecting my Social Security? And so for 2024, the max that you can earn is $22,320, okay? If you earn more than that, well, then you got to pay back a portion of your Social Security. And how it works is for every $2 more that you earn than that limit, you got to pay back $1 of Social Security. All right, so I just threw a lot at you there with 12 different basic things that you need to make sure that you're aware of before you're starting Social Security. So, of course, you probably have questions, right? When do I start it? Maybe other questions on how it works and so forth. Well, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask those questions. We're here. Give the number on the screen a call. We'd be happy to schedule a free, no obligation consultation to answer all those questions that you might have on Social Security. And don't forget, you can follow us right online. Just go to youtube.com/retiringwell. And we've got a bunch of episodes out there, a lot that cover the Social Security topic as well. So you can learn up and just know your stuff on Social Security.
If you're retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years, join us for our informative live event. This event is all about you, the challenges you face, and the information you need to help you build the future that you want. There's no pressure to become a client. Our goal is simply to give you valuable information that you can use to make smarter financial decisions. We hope by the time that you leave this event, you'll be one step closer to your retirement goals.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Are you rich? Hit the trifecta. You know, over all the years that we've been doing financial advice, we get a very common question. Clients will come in and they'll say, am I rich enough to retire? And what they're really asking is, am I rich? And as we fielded that questions, we put it back onto their plate. You know, being rich is a nebulous term. And so we've just simply asked, well, what does rich mean to you? What does it mean for you to be rich, and classify that? And over the years, we've gathered all these responses. And so this segment is just a way to kind of give you back what we've heard. What we've done is we've categorized them into 3 different categories. And we chose 3 because 3 is a powerful number. You know, a 3-legged stool is stable. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken, and a triangle with 3 sides is super strong. And so those 3 categories that we're going to classify being rich into would be financial, relational, and transformational. So as we dive into the most common one, and the people that want to ask that question at the very beginning is, what does it mean to be financially rich? And I would classify being financially rich as finding where your cash flow contentment is. Here's what I mean by that. Cash flow is simply defined as income, money coming in, expenses, wants and needs, spending going out. What's the difference? So I've seen people with a whole lot of digits before the decimal, lots of money, and then they might say, okay, I have, you know, $15,000 coming in, I have $14,000 going out, and I'm completely content with that. Okay, there's their cash flow contentment. I've also seen so many times people where they have $2,500 a month coming in, $2,400 a month going out, and their lifestyle and what they're trying to accomplish, they're completely content. And then I've seen those people that have $6,000 a month coming in, and $8,000 a month going out. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing in retirement, but it's the contentment piece that we're looking for. So if you find that contentment, that the money coming in and what you're trying to accomplish and expending going out, if you find that contentment, then I would classify you as being financially rich, okay? So cash flow contentment, check the first box. The next one, sorry, let me go back to that real quick. One last thing on the financial riches. My dad defined problems in life into 2 categories. He said there's problems that money can solve, and there's problems that money cannot solve. And the only one that you really have to worry about is the ones that money can't solve. And so there's a little tidbit of advice from my dad. It's helped me throughout my life. The next thing would be relational riches, okay? So you've seen people that are relationally rich. They have capital that they can spend everywhere they go. Maybe let's start with yourself. What's your relationship with yourself? Your physical health. Is that in good order? Does that need to be attended to? You've seen the people that have had incredible physical health because of what they have planned to do. The next one would be mental health. You know, it doesn't always get talked about, but where's your mental health? You've seen people that are super mentally strong and ones that are just struggling. So you can see that you could classify your riches there for relational yourself. The next thing would be relationships with your spouse or significant other. What are your relationships with your family like? Friends, community members, coworkers. So if you're going to classify somebody as relationally rich, Everywhere they go, or every environment that they're in, their sphere of influences, there's richness in those relationships. There's trust. I would challenge you, if you have relationships that are broken or they don't seem fit, I don't know if it's forgiveness or if whatever it's going to take to restore that, to say, we want to get my relational riches back to a really good level. Maybe that's the part of your trifecta that you get to work on. And then finally, the transformational. The first two categories that I talked about, they're very tangible, right? You can quantify them, you can hold them, you can see them, you can track them. But when you get to the third one, it's very intangible, very hard to track. And so those are things would be like your soul. These are all the riches that the world can't provide, moths and rust can't destroy, thieves can't break in and steal. These are the riches that go with you everywhere you go. These would be things like faith. You've seen people with incredibly strong, rich faith. There's devotion, there's action, there's all these things that they do to build their faith up. One of my favorite lines, find a mission other than yourself. Anytime you're giving of yourself for other people, the world can't take that away, and it's going to be your legacy and your impact. What about being a lifelong learner? That is a transformational richness that no matter where you go, the adventure of each and every day learning is making each and every day a new day filled with hope. And so finally, maybe a list of great transformational words, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. So I hope you had this list that will be helpful to you and can add value to your life as you go through and figure out if you've hit the trifecta of being rich. Thanks for watching.
Are you retired or approaching retirement in the next 5 to 10 years? Are you retirement ready? Join Virgil Hughes and the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for a complimentary and exciting presentation and learn how to plan to retire well. Visit cen-wealth.com or call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com or call 888-608-5825. Make the most of Social Security. Although Social Security isn't designed to cover all of your income needs, it's an important part of the retirement puzzle. Download our free booklet on the Social Security decisions at cen-wealth.com and learn how to optimize Social Security for your situation, why timing is so important when it comes to your benefits, ways to supplement your Social Security, and more. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down, and click the download link to get your free booklet on the Social Security decisions. If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
Let's talk about taxes, everyone's favorite topic. So I want to walk through maybe some tax planning tips to consider for retirees. So when you're working, taxes sort of seem they are what they are, depending on what your income is. There may not be as many options that you'll want to consider, but when it comes to retirement, it seems a little bit more complex. And so that's where tax planning becomes more pronounced and vital. So your taxation on retirement income, first with Social Security, you might have 0 to upwards of 85% of your Social Security will be considered taxable income. That's going to be based on what all of your other income is and how that factors in. You may have pensions or annuities where typically it's going to be a fully taxable income stream, although potentially if you have a non-qualified annuity where you have a basis or original principal in the annuity, initially the interest payments are going to be taxable to you, but you might get that tax-free if you get to the original principal. Lastly, IRA or 401k money. Now this is going to be subject to the same income tax as any other source of income, so you'll have to factor that in, and that income, as mentioned earlier, is going to impact potentially how much of your Social Security is going to be taxable. Now meanwhile, if you have, say, a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, that's typically going to be a tax-free withdrawal that you would receive from that income. There's different tax-efficient withdrawal strategies. One that we talk about a lot of the time is tax bracket optimization. So say, as an example, that you're married and you find yourself in the 12% income tax bracket. Well, you may have additional room at the 12% tax rate where you could either take additional income and stay within that bracket, or you may consider the idea of should you convert some money from traditional IRA to Roth IRA, again, staying within that bracket so that you don't jump into a higher tax bracket. So that's tax bracket optimization. Now, when we're talking about that, though, by taking additional income or converting to Roth IRA, you have to factor in, well, what impact is that going to have on your Social Security, and how much of that income is going to be taxable? So there's a lot of moving parts that come into this. Another area is tax credits. So this can be based on your age. It might factor in if you have a total disability. Another thing that comes into play is there may be different income limitations that you have to stay under in order to qualify for those particular tax credits. Gift and estate planning. So there's a lot of different options that come out there that you may want to consider if you're at that stage where you're looking at gifting money. One way that is a popular option is when you reach the age of 70 and a half and you have the option of qualified charitable distribution. So this is money that could go from your IRA and go directly to a church or charity, nonprofit, that then it is a non-taxable distribution from your IRA. So it's common to hear where people are at the age where they're taking required minimum distributions, and they may want to, if they naturally are already supporting different organizations, they can take that money and have it go directly from the IRA to that organization, and it's a non-taxable event. So you want to be careful about how you go about that, but it is a valuable option. Gifting to perhaps family is something in 2023. The limit's $17,000, but there's also maybe some other unique options that if you have, say, different stocks that have had gains on those, and there are options where you can gift those stocks to family members if desired, or now they would be responsible for any taxes on the sale of those stocks and everything, or it can be gifted to a nonprofit. So keep in mind, the big thing is everyone's situation is different. Tax planning doesn't just end when you retire, it merely evolves. So if you haven't taken that into consideration and really mapped out sort of your tax strategy, or perhaps unaware of what to do with your IRA 401k that hasn't been taxed yet, we'd encourage you to give us a call here at Centennial Wealth Advisory and help you plan to retire well.